Welcome to all. In this video, we are going to discuss about sedimentary rocks. So, based on the mode of origin or mode of formation, rocks are classified into igneous and igneous sedimentary, secondary rocks, or metamorphic rocks. Regarding this igneous and primary rocks, we have already discussed in the previous video. Please go through the link below. So in this section, we are going to learn about sedimentary rocks or secondary rocks. So sedimentary rocks, based on the mode of formation, how they are formed. They are classified into weathering, based on the weathering, and based on the diagenesis and transportation and deposition or sedimentation. So sedimentary rocks are formed because of weathering and diagenesis, transportation and deposition. How the sedimentary rocks are formed? From the pre-existing rocks. These sedimentary rocks are formed from the pre-existing rocks because of some different processes, very different rock cycle processes there. Regarding rock cycle, which I have already mentioned in the previous video, please go through the link. So again, in the sedimentary rock, in the diagenesis, we can see there are two classes. One is called compaction and cementation. So based on this, so we will go through in this class. We are going through all these issues in this class. Also, there's another type of classification we'll go through in sedimentary rocks. What are the sedimentary rocks? Sedimentary rocks are formed from the sediments. The name is sediments derived from the breaking down of pre-existing rocks. What are those pre-existing rocks? Those are nothing but previous igneous rocks. So they are formed from the sediment. That's why the name is called sedimentary rocks. It's formed from the sediments of the previous or pre-existing rocks. So sediment rocks are transported to new places and deposition in a new arrangements and cemented to form a secondary rocks. There's nothing but the igneous rocks are formed from the igneous rock because those are the pre-existing rocks. So due to the effect of various transport materials like water, these materials will be deposited into another new area and they are arranged and cemented. So due to this effect, due to this transportation and due to this new arrangements and cementation, the secondary rocks are formed or metamorphic rocks, sorry, or sedimentary rocks are formed. These rocks are classified as a stratified rocks or aqueous rocks because as these are all transported through water. Formation, how these sedimentary rocks are formed has been discussed in weathering in the very first we have discussed weathering. So the igneous rocks, the primary rocks disintegrated. That means they went through some disintegration due to some physical and chemical and biological weathering and provided a basic material for the formation of formation of sedimentary rocks. So igneous rocks are nothing. They are due to the presence of igneous rocks, or as we mentioned, pre-existing rocks. They go through some disintegration, or what do you say in technical? It's called weathering. Due to the weathering, due to some physical and chemical and biological means, what happened? So it will form a basic so it form a basic material for the formation of sedimentary rocks. This is the first stage of formation of sedimentary rocks. What will happen in second stage? And these weathered materials, whatever the disintegrated materials are there, this has been transported. So the disintegrated material is transported by the agents such as water, wind, glaciers, or runoff, or sometimes gravity. And due to the speed, so these are the transported. So whatever the weathered material are transported to all these mediums like wind, water, glaciers, etc. After this, what happened after weathering and transportation? There will be a deposition or sedimentation. The deteriorated materials, see this, we again there will be, I have already told that is another two classes we will discuss. So what happened? The deteriorated materials comprising of minerals and rock fragments because of the weathering and transportation and are deposited when the carrying agents are no longer energy enough to move it further. What happened? Imagine there is a rock, there is a big rock here, there is a big rock, so it was disintegrated, that means divided or weathered due to some various means of physical and chemical. What happened? It will go and transported by various water and glaciers. What happened? All these small particles will go in some area and will start a depositing. After some time, what happened? Due to heavy deposition, the water or whatever the agents are there are unable to move this further another distance. So this is called your sediments. The sediments will be settled. The depositions will be in one area. So this is called the deposition or sedimentation. So what is diagenesis? We'll see. It refers to the transformation of unconsolidated materials to hard rock. So whatever the weathered, transported or deposited, those materials again transformed. That's called digenesis. Digenesis, second genesis. We can just mention the di means two, genesis means two. So it involves two important combinations. Those are called the compaction and cementation. Compaction, cementation, word itself says. So compaction, the weight of the upper incumbent layers with thousands of meter thickness causes compression of the lower layer. What happened? As I told that deposition, small depositions, what happened? Due to the heavy depositions, the deposits will be very heavy thickness. What happened? It leads to the compression of the lower layers. Lower layers are deposition. The sediment consolidated and interstellar water and air are removed due to the heavy pressure. Due to the heavy pressure between the sediments, what happened? Overlying sediments, the fine grained deposit into such an environment transformed to clay or shales. What happened? The water is removed due to the heavy pressure from the upper layer. The lower deposits, the whatever the air or water is there, will be removed by the pressure of the upper layers. So it forms into some clays or shales. It forms some shale is one rock we'll discuss in a further classes. So like that, there is a compaction will happen. Cementation is nothing but it is called a cementing agent. These are the fragments of the pre-existing rocks. There should be some cementing agents. Cementing agents mean gelling agents or cementing agents. So what are the cementing agents? Like lime, silica, iron oxides are the cementing agents. Water that percolates to carries the binding material or this above whatever material in the solution, deposit in the voids of the loose sediments and binds the sediments together on dissection. The interior of the earth is sufficiently hot to help the consolidation of the material. Now, if I want to give an example, imagine this is a big mountain. Okay. Here we can see some pre-existing rocks. Pre-existing rock means what is there? Take it granted, igneous rocks. Due to some rain or due to some animal movement or physical or biological movement, what happened? These rocks are broke down or weathered into small grains, small fragments. And these fragments are started depositing down, and were deposited here. And these small grains were deposited in this here. It form a big depositions will become more and further with the further water or wind or glacier whatever you say or gravity unable to move it further, so depositions were happen. Now we can say, now here I mentioned one is weathering, transportation and deposition or cementation. What happened after cementation? What happened? Very first set of grains or first set of material deposited in the first layer, again some second layer. What happened when this the pressure given by the above layers? What happened? There will be some compaction effect will be there in the lower layer. This leads to the formation of a compact clay or shales will be formed. But just that compaction is not yet enough. They need some binding material, because the two different materials or a weathered product cannot be bind each other without the help of any cementing agent. So those cementing agents are nothing but lime, silicon, iron. Where this cement comes are, as I told, that rocks are made up of combination of different minerals. So in the rocks itself, there will be this cementing agents will be there. So due to the as there is a heavy depositions like this, imagine the depositions is very high, there will be intense heat will be there beneath these layers. So due to that, interior heat is sufficient to consolidate and lead to the cementation of the your depositions. This is called the digenesis. The digenesis includes two things: compaction and cementation. I hope you get the point. So based on the origin, sedimentary rocks are again classified into three groups. What are those? Residual. In residual is nothing but when the product of the weathered settlements, those are just like in previous example, are that place where they have been formed, they form into hard mass. So they have weathered, but there is no transportation. What happened, or whatever the leftover product are there, those are called the residual sedimentary rocks. Example for that is called your bauxite. Bauxite is the best example. That means weathering has happened in that particular pre-existing rock. Some material were gone, but some materials were left out in that same area. So those are called the residual rocks. For example, this is your, as I told, this is your mountain. Here is your pre-existing rocks are there. What happened? All disintegration, everything happened. Most of them have been dropped into lower areas or said due to transportation, cementation or deposition. But some part has been left out here. Those are called the residual sedimentary rocks. Okay, I think you got my point. The bauxite. So another is called mechanical or deterioral. Weathered fragments are transport deposited in the beds of various thickness is called the cemented rock. So those are the materials were deposited in the lower layers with the various depositions and various thickness is called your cemented rocks. Example, your sandstone. Just you can see various thickness it is deposited. This is one. This is your sandstone actually. This is one sort of thickness. This is one sort of. This is one thickness is there. This is one thickness is there. So various depositions happen with the various thickness is called the mechanical or deterioral sedimentary rocks. Example, your sandstone and shale and conglomerate. This is your conglomerate combination, different combinations. This is your conglomerate and this is your shale deposition. Just remember my previous slide. So inorganically or chemically formed metamorphic rocks, what are those? These are formed because of the evaporation and precipitation of material in the sea or lake or water. Due to the evaporation process of the sea water, these type of inorganic or chemically formed sedimentary rocks we can see. What are those? Example, your rock salt. Usually nowadays we are using for a culinary purpose. This is example halite or rock salt or gypsum. Due to the evaporation we can see gypsum formation due to the evaporation precipitation, and limestone and dolomite also is one of the best example. And finally, organic or sedimentary rocks are biochemical. Mostly this type of sedimentaries are nothing but these are called the hydrocarbons. Mostly you can see these are the formed by the accumulation of partial decomposition of organic remains under anaerobic condition, which when plant decompose under restricted air supply in a lower layers of the earth, a greater portion of their carbon content is retained and the material is slowly converted into coal. That means what happened? Whatever your organic residues or plant materials are there, they are deposited beneath the layers, and due to the intense heat and that aerobic condition, those are ultimately turned into some organic and converted into coal. What are the example? You can see peat and lignite and anthracite. Usually this peat and all is used as a fuel purpose, and lignite also for generating of electricity also we are using this. The lignite is anthracite is nothing but your hard coal. These are the some images. This is a peat, especially this type of peat in Scotland. They use it for brewing the whiskey and all the alcoholic products. And anthracite, this is your hard coal, one of the great mineral rock. And this is your lignite. Lignite also is very important mineral rock. And please suggest some and please give your thoughts in the comment section. What are the examples of secondary rocks? And list out the what are the sorry not secondary sedimentary rocks. Both are same. I'm sorry. So please give some examples in the comment section. Thank you. Thank you very much.